so I'm going to hit record. If you have any problems with your email or portal issues or the dashboard or whatever you want to call it, call that number 877-224-8576. Let's see, also their website right here as well. 6 feet apart, spray, half cup of bleach to a gallon of water. Talk to these two individuals, Jamal and Ann. They are amazing. They will help you with their for getting an externship, getting a job, any of that sort of stuff. Those are the individuals that can help you out. Featured employer, here we go. North. I've never been to this one. Has anybody ever been here? I have not. Oh, and he's so anyway, second, Austin, let's see, another restaurant and hotel. Featured employers, here's some other, Easy Tiger, Sugar Mama's Bake Shop. Let's see, a few other ones. Has anybody ever been to Sugar Mama's Bake Shop? No, sounds. I've never. Oh yeah, I just want to look and see what it is that they have. One. All right. Well. Oh, I thought that was. All right. Anyway, let's see. If you want to work at the storeroom, 6 a.m. to 1 and 1 to 7, you can do it in this class if you want to. Talk to Chef Raff or Stan Holt. There's the emails. If you would like, feel free to ask them. And then you've got the quote of the week. Live it, breathe it, be it, enjoy it. Just for fun. That's kind of funny. All right, now here we go. Complete the sentence. The world's oldest person said the secret to long life is sleep and what? We got whiskey. We've got, hold on, let me open up the chat real quick so I can see it. Let's see, whiskey, chocolate, beer, sushi, or wine. Someone has said beer. Oh, hold on, my daughter's birthday is today and she just came in. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, baby.
Thank you.
All right, love you. All right, no problem. All right, anyway, I'm sorry. My daughter's 16th birthday is today. So, so let's see, we've got beer, we have wine, we have whiskey, and we have beer. So anybody else want to chime in? I think it might be beer. Let's see. Let's see. Sushi. Wow.
Sure, you're not sharing your screen.
Oh, I'm not? This whole time I haven't been sharing my screen?
No, you have. It just right now.
Whenever your daughter walked in, it turned off.
Oh, thanks. Oh, sorry. Sushi. Wow. That's I wasn't expecting that. Huh. All right, well, interesting. I learned something new. All right, let's see, where's my PowerPoint at? Hold on. Am I sharing my screen now?
Yes, chef.
All right, cool. All right. So we have restaurant operations day 11, target market, and trying to get your target market. And this is kind of one of the things that is very, very important, to try to find out who your target market is going to be. Why is it not changing? There we go. All right, we're going to watch this little quick video. And can everybody hear that?
Yes.
Start a restaurant business. This video is designed to help you determine if your restaurant business idea is feasible. To identify questions and problems you will face in converting your idea into reality. And to prepare for starting your restaurant business. The video features all the essential aspects you must consider before you start your restaurant business. This will allow you to predict problems before they happen and keep you from losing your shirt on dog business ideas. At the end of the video, there is a valuable free gift waiting for you. A token of appreciation for watching this video. Restaurant business will depend on the following 4 conventions. 1. A practical plan with a solid foundation. 2. Dedication and willingness to sacrifice to reach your goal. 3. Technical skills. 4. Basic knowledge of management, finance, record keeping, and market analysis. As a new owner, you will need to master these skills and techniques if your business is to be successful. Identify your reasons. As a first and often overlooked step, ask yourself why you want to own your own business. Check the reasons that apply to you. 1. Freedom from the 9-to-5 daily work routine. 2. Being your own boss. 3. Doing what you want when you want to do it. 4. Improving your standard of living. 5. Boredom with your present job. 6. Having a product or service for which you feel there is a demand. Some reasons are better than others, none are wrong. However, be aware that there are trade-offs. For example, you can escape the 9-to-5 daily routine, but you may replace it with a 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. routine. Preliminary analysis, major flaws. A yes response to questions such as the following would indicate that your business idea has little chance for success. 1. Are there any causes, such as restrictions, monopolies, shortages, that make any of the required factors of operation unavailable, such as unreasonable cost or scarce skills? 2. Are capital requirements for entry or continuing operations excessive? 3. Is adequate financing hard to obtain? 4. Are there factors that prevent effective marketing? A self-analysis. Starting a business requires certain personal characteristics. This portion of the video deals with you, the individual. This next group of questions, though brief, is vitally important to the success of your plan. It covers the physical, emotional, and financial strains you will encounter in starting a new business. Are you aware that running your own business may require working 12 to 16 hours a day, 6 days a week, and maybe even Sundays and holidays? Do you have the physical stamina to handle the workload and schedule? Do you have the emotional strength to withstand the strain? Are you prepared, if needed, to temporarily lower your standard of living until your business is firmly established? Is your family prepared to go along with the strains they too must bear? Are you prepared to lose your savings in case your plan fails? Finding a niche. Small businesses range in size from a manufacturer with many employees and millions of dollars in equipment to the lone window washer with a bucket and a sponge. Obviously, the knowledge and skills required for these two extremes are far apart, but for success they have one thing in common. Each has found a business niche and is filling it. The most critical problems you will face in your early planning will be to find your niche and determine the feasibility of your idea. Get into the right business at the right time is very good advice, but following that advice may be difficult. Many entrepreneurs plunge into a business venture so blinded by the dream that they fail to thoroughly evaluate its potential. Is your business idea feasible? Before you invest time, effort, and money, the following exercise will help you separate sound ideas from those bearing a high potential for failure. Identify and briefly describe the business you plan to start. Identify the product or service you plan to sell. Answering yes to any of the following 3 questions means you are on the right track. A negative answer to all of them means the road ahead could be rough. 1. Does your product or service satisfy an unfilled need? 2. Will your product or service serve an existing market in which demand exceeds supply? 3. Will your product or service be competitive based on its quality, selection, price, or location? Market analysis. For a small business to be successful, the owner must know the market. To learn the market, you must analyze it, a process that takes time and effort. You don't have to be a trained statistician to analyze the marketplace, nor does the analysis have to be costly. Analyzing the market is a way to gather facts about potential customers and to determine the demand for your product or service. The more information you gather, the greater your chances of capturing a segment of the market. Know the market before investing your time and money in any business venture. The following questions will help you collect the information necessary to analyze your market and determine if your product or service will sell. This brief exercise will give you a good idea of the kind of market planning you need to do. An answer of no to any of the questions indicates a weakness in your plan, so do your research until you can answer each question with a yes. 1. Do you know who your customers will be? 2. Do you understand their needs and desires? 3. Do you know where they live? 4. Will you be offering the kind of products or services that they will buy? 5. Will your prices be competitive in quality and value? 6. Will your promotional program be effective? 7. Do you understand how your business compares with your competitors? 8. Will your business be conveniently located for the people you plan to serve? 9. Will there be adequate parking facilities for the people you plan to serve? Planning your startup. So far, this video has helped you identify questions and problems you will face, converting your idea into reality and determining if your idea is feasible. Through self-analysis, you have learned of your personal qualifications and deficiencies, and through market analysis, you have learned if there is a demand for your product or service. The following questions are grouped according to function. They are designed to help you prepare for opening day. Name and legal structure. 1. Have you chosen a name for your business? 2. Have you chosen to operate as sole proprietorship, partnership, or corporation? Business premises and location. 1. Have you found a suitable building in a location convenient for your customers? 2. Can the building be modified for your needs at a reasonable cost? 3. Will you have a lawyer check the zoning regulations and lease? Merchandise. Have you decided what items you will sell or produce or what services you will provide? Have you made a merchandise plan based upon estimated sales to determine the amount of inventory you will need to control purchases? Have you found reliable suppliers who will assist you in the startup? Have you compared the prices, quality, and credit terms of suppliers? Business records. Are you prepared to maintain complete records of sales, income and expenses, accounts payable, and receivables? Have you determined how to handle payroll records, tax reports, and payments? Do you know what financial reports should be prepared and how to prepare them? Finances. A large number of small businesses fail each year. There are a number of reasons for these failures, but one of the main reasons is insufficient funds. Too many entrepreneurs try to start and operate a business without sufficient capital, money. To avoid this dilemma, you can review your situation by analyzing the following 3 questions. 1. How much money do you have? 2. How much money will you need to start your business? 3. How much money will you need to stay in business? In order to answer the second question, how much money will you need to start your business, you need to prepare an estimate of all your startup costs. Here is a list of items you may need to take into account. Note that this list is for a retail business. Items will vary for service, construction, manufacturing, or online firms. Decorating and remodeling, fixtures and equipment, installing fixtures and equipment, services and supplies, beginning inventory cost, legal, professional fees, licenses and permits, telephone utility deposits, insurance, signs, advertising for opening, unanticipated expenses. Now, the answer to the third question, how much money will you need to stay in business, must be divided into 2 parts, immediate costs and future costs. From the moment the door to your new business opens, a certain amount of income may come in. However, this income should not be projected in your operating expenses. You will need enough money available to cover costs for at least the first 3 months of operation. The following list will help you project your operating.
And I would suggest more than 3 months. I would say most of the time you need at least a year's worth of money in the bank, because you're not going to be able to make any money, or you're usually not making any money for the first year. So you need to have enough money in the bank to be able to withstand that.
Expenses on a monthly basis. Typical expenses for 1 month may include your living costs, employee wages, rent, advertising, supplies, utilities, insurance, taxes, maintenance, delivery, transportation, miscellaneous. Now sum up the total estimated monthly expenses and multiply it by 3. This is the amount of cash you will need to cover operating expenses for 3 months. Deposit this amount in a savings account before opening your business. Use it only for those purposes listed in the above list, because this money will ensure that you will be able to continue in business during the crucial early stages. By adding the total startup costs to the total expenses for 3 months, you can learn what the estimated costs will be to start and operate your business for 3 months. By subtracting the totals of the lists from the cash available, you can determine the amount of additional financing you may need, if any. Now you will need to estimate your operating expenses for the first year after startup. The first step in determining your annual expenses is to estimate your sales volume month by month. Next, determine the cost of sales. You may want to use a spreadsheet to do this. After startup, The primary source of revenue in your business will be from sales, but your sales will vary from month to month because of seasonal patterns and other factors. It is important to determine if your monthly sales will produce enough income to pay each month's bills. An estimated cash flow projection will show if the monthly cash balance is going to be subject to such factors as the following: failure to recognize seasonal trends, excessive cash taken from the business for living expenses, too rapid expansion, and slow collection of accounts if credit is extended to customers. Conclusion: if you have carefully answered all the questions in this video, you have seriously thought about your goal. However, there may be some things you may feel you need to know more about. Owning and running a restaurant business is a continuous learning process. Research your idea and do as much as you can yourself, but don't hesitate to seek help from people who can tell you what you need to know. As we conclude this video, here is your valuable free gift. It's a book featuring a complete restaurant business plan.
All right. Well, that video is it sounded robotic, and I'm sorry about that, but it was the one thing you need to really understand about this is that there are so many things that have to be done to make sure your business is successful. That's pretty much plain and simple. And you need to have enough money, and you need to have you need to, that means you need to have the product, whatever product you're selling, it needs to be wanted, right? If you're not selling if you're selling a product that is not wanted or not needed, then obviously, you know it's you're not going to make any money, right? Because people are not going to want to buy it. So knowing who you're going to be selling this product to, whatever product it is, you need to know who you're selling it to. And the reason why it's so important, let me use an example of, if I'm in New York City, where all the Hasidic Jew population is, right? There's obviously, there's you've got a Chinatown, you've got kind of a Jewish area, and if I decided, hey, I'm going to open up a pork like a all about pig restaurant, right? And I open it up in the Jewish community, right? Would I would not be making much money, because the people that are around me, right? They don't eat pork, right? So that would be not a smart thing to do, right? And so you got to think about who your population is and what your population is. How much money they make, all of these things, and it's not. It's being a smart business person. That's in general. You're just looking at what your clientele wants, what your clientele buys. For example, has anybody go to Randall's? I are like a the reason why I'm saying Randall's and maybe other, I know HEB doesn't do this, but Randall's has like a savings card, like a card where or Walgreens, or I think CVS, if you give them your phone number, they can type in your phone number and they kind of know what you're buying and all of that, kind of a savings program. They use that, every time you buy something, they use that to decide on, people can look at all that information and go, okay, this person at this age range with this cost, with the amount of money they make, all of that, this is what they buy. So they can kind of tailor you know, like commercials to your needs, tailor the, you know, all of these things to your needs, because again, it's all about the customer, right? It's not about the company, it's about the customer. So anyway, so restaurant branding. Now, this is something I was asking you to kind of start thinking about, is coming up with a name of a restaurant and your brand. What is your brand? What is your branding? A successful restaurant branding can set your establishment apart from other people. I mean, look at it, let me and I know that there's pictures of different brands. I was hoping it was closer, but you know, Coca-Cola brand. Everybody knows what the Coca-Cola brand is, or you know, like what Facebook is, right? You know, or what, you know, Snapchat or their brand, right? Or whatever their branding is. You know, here is, and in branding is basically you creating a strong identity. You want people to see this item in, or this whatever picture, and think of your name, right? Think of you. Whether you're starting a restaurant or, you know, redoing it, you just need, branding is so important. So because people are going to look at this brand and sorry, I'm searching around for Kleenex. I'm gonna have to break in a minute to get some Kleenex. But branding is so important. What is a restaurant, or what is a restaurant branding? Do you mind reading that while I'm trying to search for my box of Kleenex?
Sure.
Oh, here.
What is a restaurant branding? Restaurant branding communicates your restaurant's personality and identity. A restaurant brand expresses the values and mission of your eatery, and it influences your concept and ambiance. A well thought out brand creates an emotional connection with guests. Your brand should be palpable upon entering.
Palatable, yes.
Palatable
You said it right.
upon entering your restaurant and should stay cohesive throughout your service style, type of food, and marketing efforts. Not only does quality restaurant branding increase loyalty, but it also attracts new guests who may be drawn to your brand through marketing.
That's right, and thank you. And like, I don't know, I don't know many clothing brands, but you know, I mean, whatever else, you know, people want just any sort of branding. People want, people might want to buy this because it looks cool, or whatever else. You know, any sort of branding, I think is important. And plus, anytime I see, you know, see something, you know, I mean, here I've got, you know, I mean, you don't, if this was written, if something was written, you know, I mean, like that right there, I mean, everybody knows what Coca-Cola brand is. That's branding. Or here's Aquafina. Okay, that's a brand. That name is their brand. Branding right there. So you know, that's what you're trying to make sure, as when people see your brand, they think of you. They think of it's a positive thing, right? They don't want to think of it as a negative thing. So trying to find brands or things that people, you know, visually appealing, visually, you know, it's not a, not an ugly thing, or not, you know, all of these things kind of go into consideration. Establishing a restaurant brand, okay? First of all, you need a name, right? You need a name. You need, you know, whatever name it is. If it's Cliff's Restaurant, what's my concept? Or, you know, what is my concept? What am I going to be doing? Is it food? Is it going to be, am I going to sell clothing? Whatever else. What is my concept? And then I've got a mission statement. The reason why the mission statement is so important is so where you can that tells the customers what you, if it's, if you're, I don't know, focused in on fresh and healthy foods. Our restaurant is, you know, focused in on locally grown and fresh, non GMO foods from the local area. So that's my mission statement, right? So everybody knows that, okay, whatever this guy's name is, you know, whatever Cliff's restaurant is, you know, that concept is in my mission statement is bringing local and organic foods to my customers, and all of that. So that could be my mission statement. A logo, you know, making your logo of whatever, you know, like Aquafina is their logo and their branding. Coca-Cola is a logo and their brand. So a brand and logo could be kind of the same in a way. You also need to know the demographics of who your customers are going to be. You know, for example, if whoever my customer is, they can't, let's say my customers are, let's look at what's a high-end clothing store. Anybody know what is there or Neiman Marcus? Let's say Neiman Marcus, okay? Or that's a high-end clothing store, right? Or a department store, I would say. Neiman Marcus. Their clientele, let's say at least, you know, their clientele needs to be able to spend more than $100 or something like that at a place. You know, so you need to know who your clientele is, how much money they make, right? That determines how much I, you know, cost, what the cost of food is going to be, right? Am I going to get the high-end Wagyu beef, or am I going to get just regular ground beef? Am I going to get the really expensive Wagyu or just the plain beef? Well, really, can my customers afford Wagyu beef? And if they can, then I might get it. But if my mission statement is, you know, providing, or if I'm providing low-cost food to everybody, maybe Wagyu beef is not my, you know, aspect. What style of service? That also determines, you know, is it going to be buffet style? Is it going to be kind of you know, more waiters and waitresses and or is it going to be fast food? Is it going to be fast casual? What kind of style of services you're going to be doing? You're going to be doing tableside service like you know, Cherry's Jubilee, or you know, things cooked tableside. That determines your skill of labor that you might need as well. Ambiance, you know, what's the ambiance, the decor, you know, what should it look like outside? What do my customers want to see when they're with the ambiance, like the food, or I'm sorry, like the music, the atmosphere, what's the decor, what type of food, what type of menu, and branding and merchandising. You know, so those are the things that you need to kind of figure out before, you know, and these are kind of, you know, the things that you need to decide when you're opening up a business or a restaurant or anything. You obviously need to know the name, right? The concept, the mission statement, the logo, the demographics, style of service, ambiance, food, menu. Food and menu, I would say about the same, and then branding and merchandising. All right, a name. Could you read this for me?
Yes.
Thanks.
The name of your restaurant should give customers a pretty good idea of the type of food you serve. It needs to be memorable, preferably simple, and most importantly, authentic. There are many different approaches to choosing a restaurant name, but owners often take inspiration from their location, a signature dish, or even a family member who inspires them.
Yeah, thank you. A name, in my suggestion when it comes to names, try to make it as easy to pronounce, because a lot of times people have a hard time when they're hard to pronounce. It's hard for word of mouth. Like when people talking about this restaurant or that restaurant, if it's hard to pronounce or whatever else, sometimes a little more on the difficult side. There are many types, different types of restaurants that, different levels of prices and ranges and types of foods. So you need to kind of determine what your concept is in the style of service you're going to be doing. Your concept is like a brand. You need to brand yourself. You're branding your restaurant. You're branding yourself. Your concept is an overall idea and theme of what your restaurant is. And make it kind of make sense in a way if it's a surf and turf restaurant, well, or if it's a seafood restaurant, make it, obviously your branding is going to be more like a seafood base, or kind of maybe a seafood kind of a brand, or something like that. But you just want to make it match. So if it's a seafood restaurant, if it's 100% seafood, don't put a bunch of cows on your on your branding, or don't make it look like if it's a seafood restaurant, don't make it look like a Chinese food restaurant, right? Your decor and your branding. So make it like flow. Does that make sense? Am I making sense on that? You don't want to like someone come in and thinking it's something else and it's really not, type of deal. So just make sure your branding, all of these kind of flow along. And that's why you have this, because you got your name, your concept. You need everything to kind of flow. Your concept is very important. Want to take a look at mission statement? Oh, okay. All right, I'll see your mission statement in a minute. And I'm about to give a break in a couple minutes as well. So the decor, the menu, it needs to all fall along with your concept. You don't want to just kind of have some hodgepodge of random concept or random things. Do you mind reading this one?
Of course. The concept. Many restaurants are conceived based on a chef's personal experience or interest. Heritage, local ingredients, traditions, or family are all common sources of inspiration for restaurant concepts. But concepts can also be defined by a chef's travel experience, training, or an interest in a certain area of art, science, or culture. Because food is, after all, a mixture of all those things.
For sure. And you want to bring in, think about what your concept, and you could do a fusion concept, right? A Asian and American style concept, or do a kind of a many different fusions, and that would be a good thing as well. Mission statement. Customers, if you don't mind reading this last one, and then we'll take a break.
Yes. Customers now more than ever want to know what companies stand for, and your mission statement gives them access to your values and priorities. Those who identify with the same values can develop an emotional connection with your restaurant and possibly become loyal customers from there. A restaurant mission statement is a brief description of a restaurant's goals, philosophies, and competitive edge with details on how those goals will be achieved.
Guys, that is so important, and it seems kind of cheesy and kind of something you might not need. It really kind of makes you kind of makes your company and makes your business and makes your employees and the your customers understand who you are and understand what this restaurant is all about. It makes it makes it make sense a little bit more. So just understanding that you're customer driven or customer base, or are you using local food or local ingredients, that kind of gives that customer a decision of, do I want to go to this restaurant? Do they have my values? Do they whatever that gives them a little more of a choice of what they want, and what this place stands for. If like for example, some companies, they'll or let's say like Starbucks, they do the fair trade, right? Making sure that whatever product that their coffee beans are bought by fair trade, that they're not bought at a very cheap price and brought raised up really. It's a fair trade kind of a deal, and that they kind of, and that kind of helps them out, makes people feel like they're doing a part, being a part of the goodness that is coming out from that, and I think that is great. Or I think Tom, it was called Tom's shoes. There, my kids were into, I think they were called Tom's. They were tennis shoes, and their mission statement was, I think it was buy one pair of shoes and we donate a pair to somebody. So that was kind of their mission statement of we're never gonna. I think making sure people have shoes or something like that. So where you buy it, we'll donate something to somebody. So that makes people feel good. So mission statements are always important. And they don't need to be that long, 2-3 sentences. You don't need to have a huge paragraph. Just, you want to have something that tells the restaurant or tells you what they're doing. And on that note, let's take a 10-minute break. 8:05. Sound good? 8:05 it is. Beautiful. Avery, um, just about another minute and we'll get started. All right, it is that time. All right, so we were talking about logos, and your restaurant logo is the most visible thing for the guest, right? So you need to make sure that it's something that people understand, that people can see, and it expresses kind of what you're about a little bit. But a logo is something that people, when they see it, I want them to think about you or about my brand or about my company or whatever else. So making sure that the logo is something that you know using color, that whatever kind of color pattern, whatever kind of style you're doing it is usually kind of what the decor is going to be like, or what the inside should be like as well. That your color brand, your color thing. Now, also here is this chicken place right here. They kind of, did a little symbol of logo, kind of with a chicken and a fork, right? Type of thing. That is a kind of a cool way of kind of incorporating picture. So now I know that. Come here. Sorry, my dog's freaking out across behind this screen. But so you can kind of look at this. So I know that whatever this restaurant is gonna serve chicken, at least chicken. It's probably a chicken place, but that's it kind of describe a logo sometimes describes what the restaurant is. I mean, I've like when I take road trips or whatever else, we took a road trip to Colorado, recently, and all I see is, when I'm on the highway, I just see signs, right? And I just look for logos. I can't read some of the signs, but I know what some of the logos of the restaurants that I'm going for, or even if it's a restaurant I don't know, hopefully the logo or the style of whatever it is kind of helps me decide what that restaurant is, right? Obviously this one, I mean, it probably not a steak place. Obviously it serves chicken and all of that, so it just helps you decide on what it is. The demographics of your who your target market is. Do you mind reading this?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Who will your target audience be? Demographics include characteristics such as age, gender, or income level. Are you aiming to serve families, couples, working professionals, or some combination? Are they trendy or traditional? What's your customer's price point? Is there a need for another American Grill in your town, or is the market saturated?
Thank you. So that kind of tells you, like, are you, if I'm going to open up a restaurant, and let's say, like, for example, like downtown Austin, let's just use downtown Austin as an example. Would I want to open up a very family oriented restaurant downtown, like for kids and all of that? Probably not, because downtown, you're not going to have a bunch of young kids living down. People are not going to, with young kids, are typically not going to be living downtown Austin or downtown Houston or whatever you want to say it. You know, and you need to kind of determine who it is. So I would, if I was down, let's go right here. You know, you tell all of y'all, tell me who would be my target market if I was going downtown Austin. Who would be my target market? Who would be the people I would want to advertise to? Or who do you think would come in my door if I had a restaurant downtown? Anybody?
Would it be
Yeah.
with money?
People with a
Probably-
little more money?
Hmm?
Is that what I heard? People with
Yeah.
money?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what I was saying.
Okay. Anybody else?
Probably a target audience around like 21 to the mid 30s, maybe, because you also have people working in Austin and they're probably getting off their shift and going downtown and having like few drinks or dinner or something.
Yeah.
And then you have the people that want to go out and party.
For sure. So like 20, you know, if it's a restaurant, I would say 20s to, you know, like 30, 40s or something like that, maybe even 50s. Someone that is makes probably around at least, 40, 30 to $40,000 a year, that has, or 30 or higher. So you kind of look at it that way. Maybe have, maybe some kids, maybe they were, or they work downtown and they live downtown. So you've just got to look at who you're going for. Like, I mean, I live in Southwest Austin, so I'm, I would say more outside, outside of, like I would say Austin proper or whatever else. But I mean, it's one of those things where, you look at the restaurants and the stuff down here, it's more family, not as much, upscale. It's more like family restaurants, got kid, stuff for kids, stuff. So you kind of, you got to look at it and, who is it that you want coming through your door? I know that everybody I mean, ideally, I want everybody coming in through my door, right? But the true realistic view of it is I've got to target certain population of people to come through my door. Unfortunately, there are, places where you just gotta, you have to target it to who you're tailoring it to. And that is so important, because if not, you don't have a clear view of who you're selling stuff to. You don't have a clear view of who's going to be coming through your door. And if you don't have that, you cannot tailor that product to that group or individuals, or those people that want it. I mean, if I get someone that I, come through my door that I am not marketing to, man, that's just a bonus for me, man. That's a bonus. But no matter what, you always try to market and try to get. And there are companies, that do this for a living, that will help you decide who your target market is for this area, what you want, all of that. What kind of restaurants you want in this area as well. For example, down south, Southwest Austin, we have a bunch of Mexican food places. We have a bunch of, we need more of a variety, by me or by my area. So, maybe we're too saturated with, let's say, too many Chinese food restaurants, or too many of this or that. Maybe we need to, the market is so saturated, they can't handle another Chinese food restaurant. For example, look at gas stations, or look at I mean, look how many gas stations are right beside each other and they compete. And, you add too many, one's just not going to be able to make it because of just, you know, just you're saturating the market right there. So sometimes too much is a bad thing. So just be careful with that. You might first start by getting an understanding of who the location, the demographics, and who you're really going for. You know, what are people what do people do here? What do people want in your area or wherever your business is? What do they want? And I've said this and I will say it every time. No one cares what you like anymore. And I'm not being rude, I'm being honest. No one cares what you as an individual, when you are working as a professional chef, no one cares what you like anymore because you're cooking for other people's likes. You're building a restaurant for other people. You're not building this restaurant for you. Who cares? I mean, you're building it to make money, obviously, but you're building it not for you because you're not the target market. You're not the person that's going to be paying the money to eat there. You need to find out who the people are that you want to serve, and you tailor everything to them, plain and simple. That is the most important thing, that you decide who you are as a restaurant, because sometimes I've been at restaurants where I go, man, they don't know who they are. They don't know who they want to, in serve, and they're trying to serve a huge range of people, and sometimes it gets too much. So you really need to know who the demographic is. Again, like I said, I mean, if I would be stupid to open up any sort of business that serves pork in an area where a bunch of Hasidic Jews live, right? Because we don't, they're not going to eat pork, right? So you have to be smart about it, and you need to know who you're really tailoring your business to. Style of service, are you going to have a bunch of tableside service? Like this guy's, I don't know, making a salad or something. Or no, that looks like steak tartare actually, because it's got a raw egg on there and it looks like raw beef on top of there. It looks like steak tartare. So anyway, no matter what, you got to think of what kind of style of service are you going to be a is it going to be a fast food, fast casual? Is it going to be fine dining? Is it going to be a buffet style? Is it going to be all to go food? I mean, especially now, I think you would be a complete fool if you did not have a good to go setup or a drive-through setup. A lot of companies, a lot of businesses now are trying to set up a drive-through window or a drive-through, even nicer facilities, because of people are just not wanting to get out of their cars and go. I mean, you look at all the parking spots now that are taken up because of to-go food. I mean, that's something that you need to be aware of, and make sure what kind of service you're going to be providing or styles of service you're going to be providing. Here you go: fine dining, bistro, mid-scale dining, family style, coffee shop, bar, a pop-up, a ghost restaurant. I'll talk about a ghost restaurant in a second. You got fast casual, buffet, food truck, and fast food. Like a ghost restaurant is like a kind of like there's some restaurants that they really don't have a they're kind of a pop-up in a way, but they're just kind of working out of like a kind of like a food truck or whatever, working out of a kind of an establishment where you can rent out an area and you can just rent out food, or even like, or I'm sorry, not rent out food, or rent out a restaurant to sell food out of, but also like like, for example, was it Chuck E. Cheese? I'm sorry, Chuck E. Cheese had a spin-off company of a pizza place that they were only, they called it something else, but it was Chuck E. Cheese pizza, but they were selling it under another name and delivering it right now through like Grubhub or whatever else. But because Chuck E. Cheese was hurting so much, Chuck E. Cheese didn't have a delivery system, right? They didn't have any of that sort of stuff. So they wanted to, during all of this time, they still wanted to make money, right? So they created a kind of a ghost name, or a Chuck E. Cheese named pizza place, but I can't remember the name of it now. But it wasn't Chuck E. Cheese. It was like pizza slice or some random name, and they call, and then they're producing it from all the Chuck E. Cheeses. So in sending it out as a different name. So it's kind of a ghost or kind of a phantom kind of a name. But those are kind of what that is. Ambiance, decor. What kind of decor, what kind of ambiance do your customers want? And does it flow with your design or with your like logo? Does it all match up? If you got that, let's say you have that chicken fork, right? Everybody remember that fork that looks like a chicken, right? So if that was your logo of your restaurant, would that decor go with this, with that chicken fork restaurant? Would this decor go for that chicken fork place? Probably not, because this is more of a, looks like more of a fine dining kind of a establishment. So if you were, I would be confused going into a restaurant. It had that fork chicken, right? That was their logo. And then I'll walk into this door right here. I'll walk into the doors and we see this picture of, or this is the area. Well, that would just make me confused, because I'd be like, well, it has nothing to do, or the decor doesn't match the logo. Does that make sense? So you need it to kind of match up a little bit. If it was more of a kind of a just different decor, I can't even think of something that would work with right now. But this would make me confused, and I'm like, wow, that restaurant's weird, because it looks like a fast food style, and then I come in here and it looks more of a kind of a fancier style, and it just that restaurant's confusing to me. So making sure that the ambiance matches your product, making sure that the lighting is good. If it's a fine dining establishment, maybe you might have more mood lighting, right? And the mood, lower lighting. But if it was a fast food, fast casual, kind of quick bang bang type of deal, you usually have your lights on a lot brighter, and so you just got to kind of determine what your decor is, what the vibe is going to be like. What is it? Are the chairs? Has anybody been to Buc-ee's? Anybody been to Buc-ee's?
Yes.
There, and if you can try to find a chair to sit in, they don't have chairs. Their deal is they want people in, they want people out. They don't want people hanging around and eating their food. So they have no chairs, they have no places for you to eat. They sell chairs up front usually, but they don't have a places for you to eat. So so that they don't want people kind of hanging around. They just want business to come in and out, right? So their goal was to, have clean bathrooms, and to make sure they have clean bathrooms. And so, making sure that the decor fits the product, right? If it's a made, if you have a lot of to-go food, well, if you're most 90% to-go food, why would you have why would you spend all this money to have, you have to buy chairs, you have to buy all of this sort of stuff. So that's expense. So making sure your ambiance and your decor fit your whatever business model you're doing, and that's so important. And the food and is obviously the most important thing, I feel like, because that brings the people in. But it's the logo as well, right? People see the logo, they go, oh, that's interesting, let's go try it. And then they come in and they start looking at the food, and then they get interested in the food. And so you've got to have a hook, right? You got to have something that brings people in. And it might be just the food, it might be the decor, it might be the ambiance. Look at all these, what is it? Hard Rock Cafe. The hook is all music memorabilia, right? That's what they hook you into, bring you in to look at that, and then they've got the food and all of that, but it flows along. So the food, even let's say the names of the food might go along with the name of your kind of decor. Let's say, if I was doing a Hard Rock Cafe style thing, I would maybe say have the Elvis burger, or the name it I don't know, Green Day burger, or make Green Day burger, maybe make it a vegetarian. I don't know, but just kind of make it kind of flows with your name, with your decor, all of that. It should all flow together, right? So it should kind of make it one kind of homogeneous mass in a way. But you want to make sure that everything flows, and it's not choppy, and look kind of weird. Let's see. Could you read this one for me?
Sure.
Thanks.
The menu is a presentation of detailed list of food items served in the restaurant or other similar business. A menu is any food services is considered one of the most important planning control tools to run a food service operation. If a menu is developed with appropriate planning, following food trends, and featuring the best possible options for the food lover customers, the menu can contribute in a big way to the success of the business in general.
Thank you. And obviously, because if you're running a restaurant, right, the only thing that you're selling food, right? So you need to make sure your menu is the one priority. And sometimes people put like their logo. Let's say, this picture of this hamburger right here is part of their logo. They put the logo right directly onto the menu, so where you can, people can identify that menu and that kind, so it's that memory, trying to get it from your long-term memory or your short-term memory into your long-term memory, type of deal. And that in McDonald's and Pepsi and Coca-Cola and all those companies have done a great job at trying to get you to see their logo and see even just the Nike swish, right? That little check mark, that Nike check mark. Everybody know what that is, right? So if you just had that check mark right there with no name, you could still, you would know that was Nike, right? Or Reebok, their little brand. That's something that helps you kind of get it into your brain that this is kind of what it is, and you already have an idea. So making sure your menu kind of fits the part. If you have a chicken fork, right, and the menu is all about burgers, and you don't and nothing to do with chicken, well, that's just you're confused. Your restaurant is very confused. So you need to make sure that your product and the price point fits your customer. If my customer can't afford a $50 burger or a $20 burger, or let's say a $20 burger, then I need to adjust it and figure out what can my customers really do, and then that determines what kind of burger I'm gonna be making or whatever else. Branding, merchandising, shirts, beer glasses, napkins, menus, you name it. Branding, and you want people to see your brand and know it exactly. Just like the McDonald's, we know a M, and it doesn't even have to be as long as it's written the way McDonald's does it, or if something was written in this kind of font, I would even think I would be like, man, that's Coca-Cola's font or whatever else. I would, because it's so ingrained in us. And this also helps now. Koozies, you name it, like shirts. Man, how amazing is it, especially now with social media? Like I can, people, if I have a shirt, I don't know this, if I have a Escoffier shirt on, and I'm get a picture taken, and that brand is everywhere on social media or everywhere, whatever shirt, napkins, you name it, people see it, and that helps you, helps to identify who you are, and you're getting what I call brand recognition, and for people wearing your brand. How amazing is that? Everybody walking around with your brand on, and advertising it. That's amazing, and that's why all these companies seek out all the Instagram people, and say, or even the Kylie Jenner people, what do you call those? Promoters, or what do you call them?
The Kardashians.
Yeah, or how they promote products, and someone will get them, pay them $1 million to just show drinking a drink of their new whatever, because brand recognition, just making sure getting your brand out there and letting people see it, I think is very important, because if not, people will not know what your brand is, what you are. Target marketing. You need to figure out who your target market is, what group, what customers, who's going to be dining. You can go look at, you can go to the tax office and find out exactly how much people make, and what their how many kids they have in this area right here, and that can kind of determine what kind of restaurants what kind of business you want to open up. All sorts of things. It kind of lets you know. Do you mind reading this slide?
Yes. Target market. Your target market is the group of consumers, in this case diners, whom you will aim to attract. There are people who are most likely to buy what you're selling. The target customer of your restaurant is a specific segment of the larger dining market.
Thank you. So just making sure that you know the behaviors of when do they go out? When are the and this is important because for example, like let's say Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday are kind of usually the slower days. So maybe especially in my neighborhood area, so you will see a lot of companies saying, hey, kids eat free on Tuesday nights, or run a promotion. It's happy hour all day on Monday, on Tuesdays or Wednesdays or whatever else, to bring people in, because they know their target market doesn't come in until like Thursday through Friday, and this helps bring in more people, and you can kind of determine, what people, how much people are going to be spending, how many kids they might have, an average of kids, and what is my mid-level, in my for my area, and for me, what is my mid-level restaurant? What do I consider a mid-level restaurant? What do I consider a low budget restaurant? So where they can determine, if they want me as a customer, right? If I consider their business more of maybe a premier, more expensive, I'm not going to go to that restaurant as much, right? So I want something, lower cost or mid-level, type of deal, and you've got to look at who your clientele. If you want someone that's going to be wanting fine dining every night, I'm you're you've got to maybe not go to Southwest Austin, or not to Buda or Kyle. Maybe it's more downtown Austin, your target market, your people that you're looking for, that has that can drop a million on, or a $500,000 on a apartment downtown Houston or downtown Austin or something like that. So you need to know who your target market is, your demographic, your age, the income, marital status, ethnicity, geographic. You need to know, or I'm sorry, you need to know like the behaviors, the patterns. When do I go grocery shopping? When I want to, if I usually go or get my groceries on Sundays. So, my behavior. So that means if I go grocery shopping on Sunday, I usually have food. I usually don't go out to eat until at least on, Thursday or Friday or Saturday. So that my behavior on grocery shopping is important, determining if your clientele is going to be coming to your restaurants during the weekdays or whatever else. Now even trying to look at even religious aspects as well. I know, let's say I'm Catholic, but during Lent, a lot of Catholics do not eat meat. They eat fish, right? So making sure that if you know that you have a huge uh, group of Catholics around, that maybe having fish on your menu on Fridays during Lent is maybe a good thing. You should, to make sure that you capture their business as well, because I no matter what, everybody's money spends, right? And I want to make sure that I get everybody's money, and making sure that you understand these things, because if you don't, and you don't realize it, you could lose your business, and that's the issue. Is if you don't market to a group, you're marketing to the masses, and sometimes marketing to the masses is very difficult. You need to know the city, I mean, here just demographics of just age range, income, occupation, household. If I'm trying to, if the area where a town or area is more kind of a blue collar workers, well, it would be not smart of me to do a fine dining establishment in where I have a lot of blue collar workers, type of deal. So you really need to, and it is, and unfortunately, you are kind of stereotyping. You are looking at people's age, income, race, religious. But you're using all of that to your advantage of deciding if I'm going to open up this business in this location, would it be viable? Would it be would that restaurant survive? And these are the hard questions you need to find out. Does your business have a good visibility? I mean, there are restaurants that have been amazing restaurants, but they're not visible by the road or whatever else. There's no signage, and so where people are not seeing it and all of that, making sure that you have a lot of eye traffic or a lot of traffic, people driving by it every day. The more people see it, the more opportunity they're going to be able to come in, and making sure that it's pleasing to the eye and pleasing to everybody that wants this business or wants this. So very important. Do you mind reading this one real quick?
Sure. Demographics. Segments of the population as divided by shared characteristics including age, sex, income, education, religion, race, and geographical location. Psychographics. The classification of people according to the attitudes, aspirations, and values. Behavior. An analysis of a population segment according to the behavior of potential customers, including buyer habits, spending habits, digital behavior, and hobbies.
Thank you. And that's important as well, just because, I mean, just knowing all of these things could help you have a better opportunity to be successful. Knowing all of these is not going to make you successful. I guarantee you that. But knowing all of these will help you be a more successful business than a person that would not have ever, that just said, hey, I'm going to open up a business here and not look at all of these. And there are companies out there that will do the demographics for you, that will just come up and give you a piece of paper that says, okay, this is in this location, this is the demographics, this is what they want to see, this is kind of the restaurants they're wanting to see, all of that. So I think it's very important to get the target market and to know your demographics and all of that. You want to you need to identify your target market or your niche of your business. Who is it that you want to come in every single day? That's very important. Must have enough customers to buy the product to keep it going, right? So if let's say you're I don't know, selling a product that you're not, your target market is not wanting, then you're not going to keep in business, because the people that you're marketing to, that you're has anybody ever seen that social it was on Netflix, it was social hold on, how basically social media kind of tailors what you want to see, but it depends on what you look at and all of that. Like Facebook will only, if will tailor the advertisements and the news to what you kind of, all the, they look at the clicks that you do and all the things you look at. So they kind of tailor your news, tailor your stuff kind of more to you type of deal. And that's kind of what is important is they're because you want to tailor everything to the customer. No, you don't tailor it to your likes and your needs. You always tailor it to the customer. And guys, I mean, how many times I know I've said it so many times of like, is my phone listening to me? Because once I say something, and then I start looking on Facebook, and then there are some of those advertisements are on there, and it's not it's might maybe listening to me, but I think a lot of it is their 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 like their algorithms. Sorry, algorithms. I couldn't think of or be able to say it. In computer of basically looking at all of what I click on, all my information, and looks at my online buys and all of that, and it kind of tailors everything to my needs and to my wants. And that's why when you feel like I think my phone's listening to me, it's because the computer programs that they have, they look at all the stuff that all the likes that you do, all those things that you do. It kind of fills in and makes this in a computer setting, and it makes it so where it can tailor all the advertisements to you. And I think that's in with that being said, if you don't have a target market, you don't know how to advertise and who to advertise to. I know I just have a brand new 16-year-old daughter, right? So the way people advertise to her is completely different than the way they advertise to me. She's on, Snapchat, she's on all of those things, and the advertisement, the stuff for that generation is different than my generation, or even my parents' generation, and going on. So knowing your age range and how to market, for the baby boomers generation, that's the 60, 70, 80-year-old, 60, 70 type of deal. And so that maybe Facebook might not be the best thing for them, because maybe they're not on Facebook. So determining who and what they use. I know a lot of the older groups still read newspapers. I absolutely never, I haven't gotten a newspaper in forever. But maybe if I'm trying to advertise to that certain group, maybe newspapers are good. Has anybody ever watched the evening news, like the national evening news, like with Tom Brokaw or anybody like? If you watch national evening news, if you've ever watched it, you will see more medication, advertisements, like for fibromyalgia or for diabetes or for for certain diseases or certain things, and you look at the commercials that are being used during that time, and it's usually tailored to those individuals. Even even like the just day TV commercials are different than the evening TV commercials. So it's tailored to who your clientele is. So they use those analysts, and they analyze what people like and what people don't like. Okay. Menu Do you mind reading this real quick?
Yes. Menu analysis. General tone of the menu. Formal, informal, straight, and young, straight, to the point. Price range for appetizers and mains. Bar, special, promotions.
Thank you. So you want to analyze, your menu, and you want to make sure that everything is formatted correctly. There's price ranges. You need to make sure you have price ranges. You don't want to just have all expensive. You need one expensive, one medium, one cheaper, and kind of float it around so everybody can be able to eat at that restaurant, even if they're in a different price point, or if they are in a different, you know, I would say just different price points, I think is very important. Let's see, average range of customers, ratio from men to women, especially if it's a bar. You need to make sure that, if your area of town has more men than women, maybe what do we do? I need to, and if I'm running a bar and bar service, I want to have a good mix of men and women. So I need to make sure I do more uh, uh, like women night out, or women drink free, or girls drink free, or whatever else, right? So something to bring in the customers that I don't have, or move my business to an area where I have a better mix and better ratio of men to women, or higher amount or more women than men. So where that would bring in more of the men type of deal. And maybe even the ambiance. What is the ambiance? I need to make sure the ambiance is good for that, for men and women, and couples. So, the ambiance needs to be good for all of the above. So, or if it's more geared for like families or whatever else. Um, let's see, is there going to be music? Is there going to be live music? Is there going to be music like piped in, or elevator music? What kind of music do my customers want to hear? It doesn't matter what you want to hear. It matters what they want to hear, right? It doesn't matter what you like anymore. Remember that, because it's all about the customers. It's all about the other people. Because they're the ones that pay your salary. They're the ones that's going to keep that restaurant or business open. What are the hours of operation? All of those things. Let's see, the dining room. Can you read this? Or wait, sorry. Don't worry about it. Surrounding area, making sure that around your surrounding areas, like you want to analyze, is there other restaurants, is there businesses like landmarks, like a mall, other restaurants, and if you've ever seen a lot of like let's say Chick-fil-A's are usually in a strip mall area, or whatever else, or McDonald's, or CVS's are always on a corner of a street, or whatever else. But knowing in some restaurants, you'll see the same restaurants in the same kind of location in other cities with the same kind of restaurants around it, like McDonald's or Burger King. They all have the same stuff kind of right around it. So making sure that there are things around there that customers are going to be coming to as well. And again, advertising it and making sure that there's a lot of flow and a lot of traffic. I would say traffic of people coming to and fro type of deal. Let's see. Organizing day. So basically, for demographics, you need to, age, gender, location, you know, what kind of music, you know, they like, for sure. Behaviors, dining, you know, are they, uh, you know, what are the price points, the order, what they order, the dress type, is there a dress code? You know, if there's a dress code, that really pigeonholes you into a certain type of demographic right there. So if there's a dress code, or if you have to have a dinner jacket, or you can't wear, I know that there are, you know, restaurants that say you can't wear, you know, flip-flops, or, you know, you've got to be in not non-beach attire, or non, you know, swimsuit attire, or whatever else. And let's say I'm in a area, let's say New Braunfels, you know, where there's the river, right? And if I put if my restaurant says no swimsuits at all, well, I'm losing lots of summer business, because in New Braunfels, you have everybody kind of walking around in swimsuits and all of that. So you need to make sure, you know, the, you know, what it is. All that information is so important. Again, I'm beating this dead horse a little bit during this, but you know, bistro, here is an example of a bistro, you know, kind of demographics. You know, 40 years old, 40 plus, you know, urban, you know, eclectic singer, songwriters, you know, I mean, here, the behaviors, dinner with colleagues, price point is around $15 to $18 for an entree. So those are the people I'm going to be providing for. Well, and this also helps me decide what kind of quality of meat, quality of food I'm going to be able to provide, right? Because if my price point for my customers is only, I don't know, five to $10, well, my quality of my food is going to be different, right? You know, compared to $15 to $18. So determining that helps me determine the quality of food and the quality of service and how much service I can do. Because if they're only willing to spend up to $18 per person, right? Or let's say a $20 check average per person, that determines exactly. I could never use Wagyu beef, or I could never use Kobe beef or anything, because it's way over their price range. So knowing that, geographical, you know, obviously, you know, helps out. You know, what style, how many, you know, where they are, where it's located, you know, who all the people are in that area, or, you know, what kind of, where they come from, all of that sort of stuff, and knowing just the, you know, just the geographical area. I can't, other than that, that's about it. Now, to kind of look up, you know, you can use the census, and that's one of the reasons the census is so important. This helps with the people to help build their business and to come up with all the information, because the Census Bureau comes out and says how many people, what you know, live in your house, what's the average, you know, what you make, all of that sort of stuff. That helps with the Census Bureau, helps you just, and you can access all that information by city, and you can access all of that information with that city-data.com. You can access like any sort of census information, but there are companies that do this. Again, it costs money, but you can get a company to come give you all of that data and kind of help you out in determining what it is. But census data, population, dwelling, gender, age, household, you know, marital status, household type, what kind of languages they speak, and that's important as well, depending on because if you're opening up a business in this area right here, you're probably going to need to make sure that whatever language they they speak, because you're probably going to get the same people to be working for you from this area as well, and that language is important, and income and income is so important, and it's sad, but it's true, but that really determines what kind of food I can make, or what the quality and the expense of food I can use. Also age, family size, family cycle, our life cycle, family cycle, income, occupation, race, religious, and that's why I brought up religious, because of there are sometimes you've got a religious restaurant or religious uh, things like Lent or whatever else affect the food buying, and changes to your demographic. Your physical behavior, their behaviors change, so that's why you need to know these things. Also, again, I'm beating this dead horse. These slides keep saying it. But behavioral, what do you do in spare time? What kind of purchases do you make? What kind of, if you have internet, or if you don't have internet, or if you have social media, what kind of platforms do you use for the social media? And that determines how I advertise. I mean, for example, I don't listen to the radio much anymore. So radio advertisements would be a waste of money if they're trying to get my business, right? Because I don't listen to the radio anymore. I stream whatever on my phone in my car, right? So I don't look at newspapers anymore. So advertising in a newspaper is not good. I don't I I really don't subscribe to any magazines. So magazines are kind of out. So, and maybe my searches, my Google, maybe paying Google money to make sure every time they type in Mexican food restaurant, my name of my Mexican food restaurant comes up first. You can do that. You can pay those media companies or Google or Yelp or whoever to move your product up higher, so where it's it, people see it more often. Any of that sort of stuff. Let's see. Again, what is your target market and lifestyle? And employee, you just need to know who your target market is. And I'm just kind of repeating itself a lot. So I'm going to push on behavior segment. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of keeping repeating loyalty, loyalty status. Are you loyal to that brand? Are you loyal to your whatever brands that you are? Um, you know, there are people that that don't want to buy store brand, right? They want to buy name brand. So so making sure that with me knowing that if that's my clientele, I'm going to make sure I advertise some certain name brands in I've got this name brand or this, because if they're focused in on name brands, then I need to make sure that they see that we're using the name brand product instead of unnamed name, like just the regular store brand type of deal. Host focus groups. I mean, there are focus groups that you can hire to, I mean, they show focus, groups, movies to make sure that the ending is right, or they have focus groups of people trying your new item, whatever your new item is, and making sure that it is, instead of producing a bunch at first, you produce a little bit, you have a focus group, decide if it's good or not, and then you can say, okay, if it's good, then you can spend your money and do a lot more. But the issue is making sure before you spend all that money could help out. Let me see how. We're gonna watch this video real quick, and then we'll be almost done.
While there are many facets and details involved in starting a restaurant, we found that success in a restaurant business boils down to accomplishing just 3 basic steps. Step 1 is finding out what they want. Find out what people want that they can't currently get in your local market. In other words, what type of food, service style, atmosphere, location, look, and even price point would attract a sufficient number of customers to buy what you're proposing to offer. Here's the point. It doesn't really matter what you like. It doesn't matter what you may be passionate about. It doesn't really matter what you like to cook. The only thing that really matters when you think about opening a restaurant is what do the people in your market area want to buy. What type of dining experience would attract a sufficient number of customers willing to pay a price that would make it possible for your restaurant to make an adequate profit? Let me restate that. The very first step you must get right to have any chance of being successful in the restaurant business is to identify a concept or dining experience that is in some way unique or different or better that will appeal to enough people to choose your restaurant over all the competition. Simple to understand, not so simple to do, but that's step 1. Step 2 is once you know what they want, you've got to go and get it. This means that within the local market, you got to secure the right location, create the look, the ambience, assemble the menu, create the recipes, the equipment, staff, and skills. In other words, you have to put together or pull together all the physical components and other elements needed to create and deliver the food, the service, and experience the people in your market want. And finally, step 3. Then you've got to give it to them. Giving it to them is execution, the day-to-day activities of preparing and delivering the food, service, and experience that people want. It includes implementing systems, hiring the right people, training, timing, cooking, cleaning, all those activities, decisions, and actions that take place every day in a restaurant to deliver a great guest experience. Now let's look at steps 1 and 2. These are the startup steps. These activities and functions take place in the startup phase before the restaurant opens. Finding out what they want and then getting it determines whether you have a shot at having a good restaurant. A good restaurant means there's a demand for what the restaurant is offering in terms of the entire guest experience. Step 3 comes into play once the restaurant opens. That's when operating systems, management, and daily execution kicks in. Creating the experience that people want consistently every day so that they come back again and tell their friends how great the restaurant is. But stage 3 isn't just about managing operations or running the restaurant. It's also about managing the business side of the restaurant. Because to remain open, the restaurant must earn an adequate profit and return on investment for the owner. While steps 1 and 2 determine if the venture has the potential to become a good restaurant, step 3 is all about the good restaurant becoming a profitable and sustainable business. I want to make a very important distinction here. You really need to understand this. The owner's role in the startup stage, steps 1 and 2, is primarily one of being an entrepreneur, essentially a creator, a risk taker, a catalyst. In step 3, the owner's role shifts from entrepreneur to more of a manager and leader as the business moves from startup to operations. Now the owner must hire and build a dedicated team of employees and is responsible for managing a host of daily activities centered around creating loyal customers, growing market share, and building a profitable business enterprise. So when you start a restaurant from scratch, the owner must have the skills and temperament of an entrepreneur during the startup and development phase, and then be able to successfully pivot into a very different role as a manager and leader as the restaurant moves into the operating phase. Now, let me ask you a question. What would you say is the #1 driver or determining factor of restaurant success? No, it's not the location. Nope. Not the concept, not the food, not the service, not the menu, not the recipes, none of that. What determines the success or failure of a restaurant more than anything else is the owner. The owner is the #1 driver of success or lack of success in every restaurant. Why? Because the owner makes all the decisions. For example, in the startup phase, the owner makes decisions about the concept, the location, the lease, the menu, design, and so on. Then, once the restaurant is open, the owner continues to make ongoing decisions about policies, personnel, purchasing, marketing, and on and on. Those decisions lead to actions and activities, which ultimately lead to results. Results that will be measured or expressed in financial terms, such as sales, profit, or loss. So the owner is ultimately responsible for everything that happens in the restaurant and the results the restaurant achieves. So let's recap the key points that we've discussed. There are 3 basic but essential steps to restaurant success. Step 1, you've got to find out what they want. Remember, it doesn't matter what you want to provide, it's what your potential customers want to buy. Step 2, go and get it. Once you know what they want, you've got to create what they want with the right location, menu, recipes, staff, the entire guest experience. And step 3, give it to them. The daily ongoing execution of delivering the experience your guests want every day, over and over again, and doing it in a consistent, profitable manner. Steps 1 and 2 take place prior to opening day, when the owner functions primarily as an entrepreneur. In step 3, the owner's role becomes more of a leader and manager, focused on daily operations, developing a loyal, capable staff, and creating happy, returning customers. Also, understand the owner not only needs to create a good restaurant, but also have the management skills to turn their good restaurant into a profitable, sustainable business. There are lots of good independent restaurants that have great food and lots of customers, but they are not very profitable, and they are not good businesses. And finally, restaurant results are ultimately dependent upon the owner, because the owner has the power to make all the decisions. And it's the owner's decisions and ability to see them properly implemented that will determine the restaurant's results. So I've got some questions for you. What type of restaurant are you thinking about opening? How do you know it's what people really want? How could you find out? If you know what they want, do you have the ability and resources to go and get it, to put together all the pieces and components to create the experience that people want? And finally, do you have the management and leadership skills to build a quality team, run the operations, and turn the restaurant into a profitable business? That is really the essence of what it takes to be a successful independent restaurant owner. Find out what they want, go and get it, and give it to them. Simple to understand, but not easy to do. Next, we'll talk about the different ways.
All right, here you go. Good example. Know your audience. Okay. Anybody know about insomnia cookies? You know, most stores deliver from 10 a.m. to 3 a.m. Monday through Friday. Noon, so and noon to 3 a.m. on the weekends, right? So your audience is gonna, who your clientele is, you've got to, you find it in college towns, you find, it's one of those things, you see it, if you have a high group of younger people that are awake at a certain period of time. So, know your target audience. Could you read this for me?
Menus. Create a restaurant menu that will make your customers hungry for more. The traditional menu definition is a list of food or drink items available for purchase, or a list of food or drink items that will be served.
Thank you. You want to make them hungry for more. You want them to come back for more and more and more. And portion size is important as well, because if you overfeed them and they feel very stuffed and overfull every time they come into my restaurant, they're not going to come in as often because they feel too full. They get overeat or whatever else. So you want to give them, make them hungry or keep them coming back for more, no matter what. You have different types of menu. You have a la carte, du jour, cycle, a static menu, and a fixed menu. These are the types of menus. A la carte, you can pick whatever. You kind of do any sort of you can pick here, you can pick here, anything like that. It's all individual. You can buy it individually. Du jour usually is a daily, it's usually daily. A lot of times it's on a chalkboard or a raster board or something like that. And nowadays it's, what's that QR code, you can pull up your menu that way, but it's usually a daily or things are cycle, or I'm sorry, a daily menu. Then you have cycle menu that you like school cafeterias were like a cycle menu. Like it was always Taco Tuesdays and certain things. So it would go through a cycle or a seasonal menu. It would go in and then it would restart over. So it would be a cycle, kind of go and restart. A static menu is a large menu, typically developed in different categories. So you can kind of have like the appetizers, salads, like this from the broil or from the grill, any of those things. And then you have a fixed menu where, and these are called prefix, another are pre-fee. Some people say pre-fee, prefix, or fixed menu, where, and you see these during New Year's, Valentine's, Mother's Day, you get this for a price, per person price, kind of a fixed menu. You get this, this, and this, and this is what it is. So that's a prefixed menu. Other types, you have like hors d'oeuvres or table hors d'oeuvres, kind of a menu of appetizers, entrees, desserts. Things are just a little small past hors d'oeuvres. You have tasting menus, also like a chef tasting menu. It's almost like a prefix, but or a pre-fee, but it is. Sorry. So just making sure that or that the other tasting menu is kind of like a prefix menu, and that is it. All right, guys. Y'all, hold on one second. Let me stop sharing. All right, y'all have a wonderful day. Be safe. It's supposed to rain all week, so be safe and turn around. Don't drown. All right.
Thank you, Chef. Have a good day.
Bye, guys.
Have a wonderful day, Chef. Take care.
You as well. Bye-bye.
Have a great day, Chef.
Hey, you too.